The chandeliers of Ristorante Bella Via burned like constellations over a sky of marble. Every table gleamed with crystal, silver, and the hush of wealth. It was Thursday, a night reserved for the powerful to eat, drink, and remind one another they still ruled something. At the center table sat Adrian Valley, age 42, billionaire investor, son of old money and new ambition. He wore his authority the way others wore silk: tailored navy suit, blood-red tie, a watch so heavy it might have been mistaken for a weapon. Around him sat his inner circle: Marco, his longtime partner, loud and careless; Layden, quiet but calculating; and Elena, his fiancée, a former model who'd learned how to smile on cue. Tonight was not leisure, it was victory dressed as dinner. Adrian's new European fund would swallow 3 smaller companies by dawn. "Tomorrow we toast to headlines," Marco said. Adrian's smirk barely moved. "Not headlines," he replied, "history." Their laughter rang like coins hitting glass. The air reeked of perfume, ego, and old champagne. And beneath the noise of ambition came a smaller sound: heels clicking on tile, measured and steady. She moved with quiet precision. Amira Conte, 26, waitress, invisible, deliberate. Her dark skin caught the candlelight like brushed bronze. Her blonde ponytail was pulled tight enough to erase any softness from her face. She carried a tray of red wine with both hands, her arms steady, her breath even. Adrian didn't look up at first. When he did, his glance was brief and mechanical. "Phenomenal," he muttered, half to himself, half to Elena. "The wine." Elena smiled politely to smooth the edge, but Adrian didn't need smoothing. He thrived on dominance, the kind that left others adjusting their posture. "Poured carefully," he said in Italian, tones sharp enough to cut. "This bottle costs more than your month's wage." The words hit the air like ash. Amira hesitated for a fraction, then continued pouring, her face unreadable. The men chuckled. "She probably doesn't even know what Barolo is," Adrian whispered to Leon, loud enough to be overheard. "At least she's decorative," Leon said. "Adds color to the room." Their laughter cracked against the marble. Amira finished pouring, stepped back, and asked in perfect English, "Will that be all, sir?" Her voice was calm, her accent clean. Adrian waved her away like a fly. "See? Bastard." She turned toward the counter, every step pressed against the wall of restraint she had built to survive nights like this.
3 months earlier, Amira had been someone else, a scholarship student at Rome University, fluent in 5 languages, studying comparative linguistics. Daughter of a Senegalese father and an Italian nurse, words were her inheritance. She dreamed of working for the United Nations, connecting voices that never met. Then came the email: academic misconduct, investigation pending. A few copied lines from a paper she had cited openly, enough to end everything. The accusation wasn't about plagiarism. It was about envy. The professor's assistant, jealous and bitter, had filed a false report. The board didn't wait for proof. They cut her scholarship, her housing followed. Rumor did the rest. By the time her mother suffered a stroke in Naples, Amira stopped fighting. She left Rome with a single suitcase, her savings gone. The first job she found was at Ristorante Bella Via, a place that served dignity with a price tag. She told herself silence was survival. Each insult came with a hidden cost, and rent was due every week. Back at the table, the laughter had grown louder. Adrian loved the performance, the small humiliations that reminded him who owned the room. Elena shifted uncomfortably. "Do you always talk to staff like that?" Adrian smirked. "Relax, amore, it's banter," keeps them alert. Marco lifted his glass. "You've got to admit, she's striking. Those eyes." Adrian's tone turned cold. "Not at my table." Minutes later, Amira returned with the next course. Adrian looked up, half smiling. "Hey, ragazza, what's your name?" "Amira, sir." He repeated it slowly. "Amira. Sounds expensive for someone carrying plates." "It means princess, sir." The table erupted in laughter. Adrian leaned forward. "Princess, huh? Well, princess, in this room, I'm the king." Amira said nothing. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Bred before ego, child. Dignity waits for no apology." Adrian turned to his friends again, switching to Italian, assuming safety in his mother tongue. "Perfetto," he said. "Un volto esotico per un ristorante europeo." She looks like art. Marco snorted. "Una decorazione esotica." Exotic decoration. The words cut through Amira like a blade she'd seen before. She set the tray down, straightened her spine, and breathed once. Then she looked him dead in the eye, in flawless Italian. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize arrogance was your native language." It was as if the chandelier stopped humming. Elena froze, her fork slipping against the plate. Marco blinked. Adrian's smirk faltered. Amira continued, voice calm but unshakable. You think I don't understand you? I studied Italian longer than you've owned that watch. Respect, signore, is also a language, perhaps one you never learned. The restaurant went still. The only movement was wine trembling in Halfrey's glasses. Adrian stood abruptly. Manager. The floor manager, Johnny, arrived, sweating. Is there a problem, Mr. Valley? Yes, your staff thinks insults are acceptable. Johnny turned to Amira, panic in his eyes. What did you say? Nothing untrue, she replied. Adrian barked. Apologize. For what? For understanding you? Johnny whispered, Amira, please, go to the back. Adrian smirked. Listen to your boss. Her voice grew firmer. No, Johnny, not this time. She stepped closer. You humiliate to feel powerful. That's not strength, it's fear. The room gasped. You're fired, Johnny said, voice trembling. Adrian's laughter returned, sharp and hollow. Good, get her out. Amira untied her apron, folded it neatly, and laid it beside his untouched glass. You can keep the wine. You've already spilled enough bitterness into it. She walked away, quiet but unbroken. Every step sounded louder than Adrian's name. Outside, Milan's cold air hit her lungs like truth. She sat on the curb, head in her hands. Her breath shook, her chest felt hollow. Why did I open my mouth? She whispered. But somewhere inside, she knew. Silence had finally cost too much. Inside the restaurant, a man at another table, a journalist from Il Giornale di Milano, had filmed the whole scene. Not out of malice, but disbelief. That night, he uploaded the clip titled, The Waitress Who Spoke Back. By morning, it had millions of views. Respect is a language too. The comment sections roared, hashtags trended, investigations began. Reporters swarmed Bellavia by noon. Johnny stammered through interviews. She didn't do anything wrong. Elena left Adrian's penthouse that same day. Cameras caught her rolling a suitcase past the marble gates. Sometimes, silence is complicity, she told reporters. Amira woke up to chaos. Her cracked phone buzzed with hundreds of messages, job offers, interviews, apologies. One message stood out, from Clara Elena Moretti. I'm sorry for staying silent. You were right. A knock at her apartment door. Johnny stood there, hat in hand. You're famous, he said weakly. They want you back. She smiled faintly. I'll come tonight, not to work, to thank those who saw. That evening, Adrian sat alone in his glass-walled office. His phone lit up with missed calls, withdrawals, cancellations. His empire was crumbling in real time. He clicked the viral video, watched his own sneer, her calm defiance. The comments burned. Money can't buy culture. She owned him with grace. He closed the laptop. The espresso on his desk had gone cold. Elena's ring lay beside it like an accusation. For the first time, Adrian Valley had nothing to say. 2 days later, Amira stood on a live broadcast, dressed in the same black and white she once wore to surf. I didn't plan to become a story, she said softly, but silence protects the wrong people. Respect isn't earned through money, it's shown through humanity. The audience applauded. Viewers called her La Voce del Rispetto, the voice of respect. Universities reached out with reinstatement offers. NGOs offered translation work. The woman who had been a waitress was now a symbol of dignity. On the fourth morning, a knock interrupted her tea. 2 people stood at her door, a man and a woman from Rome University. Miss Conte, the woman said, we owe you an apology. The accusations were false. The assistant confessed you've been reinstated. Amira stared at them, disbelief and rage twisting together. My mother nearly died because of what you did, she whispered. The woman's eyes lowered. We can't fix the past, but maybe we can give you back your future. They handed her the envelope. Inside, her scholarship, reinstated. She pressed it to her chest and whispered, Mama, they finally believed me. That evening, the phone rang again. A quiet voice said, Amira, it's Elena. Amira hesitated. Elena Valley? Yes, I needed to thank you. I left him that night. You reminded me what silence costs. They spoke for an hour. Elena offered her a job interview, Verdi Translations.
a Milan agency working with NGOs. They'll even help with your mother's treatment, Elena said. You deserve that chance. Tears broke through Amira's calm. Why would you do this? Because you reminded me what respect looks like when the world forgets it.
The following week, Amira walked into Verdi Translations. The office smelled of books and ink, walls lined with maps and laughter. She spoke 3 languages effortlessly during the interview. Halfway through, the director smiled. You don't need to prove anything. Welcome aboard. By month's end, she was translating medical documents for refugee clinics. Her paychecks went straight to Naples, to her recovering mother. Elena visited often. They shared quiet Saturday coffees, speaking of work, never of Adrian. Once, walking past Bella Via, Amira paused. The chandeliers still glowed. The tables still sparkled. Does it hurt to see it? Elena asked. Amira smiled faintly. No, it's only strange. I used to think that room defined my worth. Now it's just a stop along the way.
Months later, Milano Finanza ran a small headline. The Fall of a King. A photo of Adrian Valley, unshaven, walking alone through an airport, clutching a suitcase. Amira saw it once, then turned the page. No anger, no triumph, only distance.
A year passed. Rome University invited Amira to give a guest lecture in the same hall where she had once been accused. She entered calmly, wearing a cream blouse and confidence that needed no defense. She spoke about language as empathy, how words could heal or wound. When she finished, the students stood in applause. At the door, the dean said quietly, "We're honored to have you back, Signorina Conte." She smiled. "I never truly left. I only took the long way home." That evening, she returned to her mother's balcony. Naples glowed below, full of noise and forgiveness. "You look tired," her mother said. The good kind of tired. The kind that means life is finally right. Her mother squeezed her hand. "And the man who insulted you?" Amira looked at the fading sky. "He taught me the cost of silence, and I think he's paying it now." They sat together listening to the city's heartbeat. For the first time in years, the weight inside her was gone. "Respect," she whispered, "is a language, and finally the world learned to listen."